Gdańsk has seen a lot in its history, from being an important trading port in the Hanseatic League, being ruled by various empires, becoming a city-state, and even being the starting point of World War II. For the last 150 years, there's been one constant, a tram system that runs to this very day. Gdańsk opened its first horse-drawn tram line in June 1873, back when the city was still called Danzig, and was part of the German Empire. It was not a smoother start for the tram system, as the competition of the railways made a part of the line not financially viable. However, a year later, the company Danziger Straßeneisenbahn was started, and it started to run the network. The network started growing very quickly after this. In 1894, the German company AEG acquired Danziger Straßeneisenbahn, and as the company specialized in electric machinery, a choice for electrification of the network was only logical. By 1896, all the lines were electrified. In 1899, another tram company was launched, which operated trams mostly in the area what is today Novi Port. This company did not exist for all that long as a separate entity, as they merged into Danziger Elektrische Straßenbahn AG in 1903. During the First World War, the network started to struggle towards the end of the war, with damages mostly occurring throughout 1918. It took until 1919 to get back on track, as Gdańsk became a city-state after this. The tram network grew even further in this period, especially during the 1920s. However, then the Second World War arrived. Gdańsk was the city where the Germans started their invasion. After the city fell, the system was operated rather normally, until the Soviets started shelling the city to push the Germans out in March of 1945. By April 1945, when fighting in the city came to an end, efforts to reinstate the system kicked in full gear. However, the tracks did not return to the old town, making trams only available along major road corridors in the city. After the old airport moved to a new location, the Zaspa area was redeveloped into a housing district, requiring a tram line of its own. After the fall of communism, a lot has happened to improve and modernize the system, such as new trams, which we will check in a bit, as well as the opening of new sections, which brings us to the network of today. This is the tram system of Gdańsk. It uses a 1435mm standard gauge, and the total length of the network is 58.1 kilometers. Trams are powered by 600-volt DC overhead wires, and there are 2 depots on the network. Let's now take a look how the lines are being operated. We start off with line 2 between Jelitkowo and Lavendowe Wzgórze. Line 3 between Brzeźno Dom Zdrojowy and Wostowice Świętokrzyska. Line 4, Jelitkowo to Lavendowe Wzgórze. It's important to note that line 4 takes a slightly different route than line 2, as it connects to the bus station rather than a main station. Line 5 between Oliwa and Nowy Port Zajezdnia. Line 6, Jelitkowo to Wostowice Świętokrzyska. Line 7 between Nowy Port Zajezdnia and Wostowice Świętokrzyska. Line 8, Jelitkowo to Stogi. Line 9, Strzyża PKM to Stogi Plaża. Line 10, Brentowo PKM to Nowy Port Zajezdnia. Line 11, Strzyża PKM to Lavendowe Wzgórze. And finally, line 12 between Ujeździsko and Zaspa. This video about the tram system of Gdańsk is part of an already 31 episode long series of videos of transport systems. I would love to show you many more in the future. Therefore, it would be really helpful if you like my video and subscribe to my channel. Let's now take a look at the fleet. The oldest tram in the fleet is the Duewag N8C. They were built in the late 1970s and early 1980s. These trams were initially in service in Dortmund and Kassel, in Germany, before arriving in Gdańsk. After that, they received a complete modernization by Modertrans, receiving a low-floor middle section as well as a new look. The Duewag N8C is a bidirectional 3-car tram. The second type in the fleet is the Konstal 114NA, built in 1997. There are only 2 trams of this type. Oddly enough, both these trams have different appearances. During the modernization of the first 114NA, the tram received a new look, resembling the one of the Duewag N8C. The second tram of this type in the fleet has been modernized as well, but the public transport company of Gdańsk has opted to keep the original look, so it can become a museum tram for the future. The Konstal 114NA is a 3-car unidirectional tram. The next type is the Alstom NGd99, which is a close cousin of the Konstal 114NA. The NGd99 was developed after Alstom acquired Konstal, and its model is roughly based on the 114NA and other models. It is also a unidirectional 3-car tram. After modernization, they received a new outstanding white color with a small blue stripe. There are 4 NGd99s in Gdańsk. Moving on to the next type, the Bombardier NGT6. This tram type, delivered to Gdańsk in 2007, makes up another small part of the fleet, with only 3 trams of this type in the port city. These trams are part of the Flexity Classic family of Bombardier, and are unidirectional 3-car trams. And as with most Polish tram systems nowadays, Gdańsk also has trams made by PESA. The oldest type here is the PESA Swing, also known as 120 NAG. There are 35 of these 5-car unidirectional trams in Gdańsk, which entered service as of 2010. And finally we have the PESA Jazz, a 5-car bidirectional tram. The first batch of 5 Jazzes entered service in Gdańsk in 2014. After a while, in 2020, a second batch of 30 Jazzes entered service. They are equipped with many new features, such as smart indoor lighting, USB charging ports, and even an AED. So what's up with the future? Gdańsk has a lot of plans for its tram system in the future, with as many as 12 potential or planned extensions. Looking at this map, you can see that most of the extensions are seemingly focused on connecting the now separated corridors. Only one section is located near the city center. Some sections, like the one linking the districts Gdańsk Południe and Wrześń, are quite far down the planning path, as well as a short extension to connect the railway station of Gdańsk Wrześń to the tram network. Besides all the extensions, the city is also looking for new, longer trams, which would be around 45 to 47 meters long. So that's it for the tram system of Gdańsk. Click here for my video about the tram system in Łódź. As always, thank you very much for watching.